Hello and welcome to our latest edition of The Sales Circle, a podcast and vlog in which we want to share with you the greatest hints and tips on everything to do with sales, marketing and business growth. I'm your host, Rob Spence, the Managing Director here at Paragon Sales Solutions, and I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce to you Stefan, who owns a company called Loncom. So Stefan, great to meet you.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. So Loncom.
Yeah.
Tell us about the business. Give us an overview. What do you do? What don't you do? Tell me everything.
Yeah. So basically, I run a small consultancy company. What we do is data analytics, CRM development, I would say in general, kind of digitalization of businesses. So how we do it, we notice that a lot of people have data, store it, but then just leave it on the side, don't use it. We like to kind of bring it that their data is an asset and people should use it more to kind of make better business decisions and lead their business forward and grow it out of that. Naturally, from that, what we found out the data is a mess. So then you have to have proper data engineering around it, which is your systems, starts from CRM system, e-commerce systems, ERP systems, and various others. So all of those collect data. When they collect data, we go there, analyze it, and give kind of the insights out of it where our consulting kind of comes also in place.
Amazing. And have you noticed any trends with businesses sort of falling in love with data recently, or is it slowly getting there?
Yeah, they do get addicted to it, to be honest, because when you make a decision based on data and then it works, so then you're always kind of looking for that next one, big analytic that is going to push you forward, make more sales, get more revenue, have better employee management, less manual, more automated work and so on. So addiction, data can be an addiction.
Which is a really sad thing to say.
It is absolutely.
But I think you are. I think businesses are driven by data. Yeah. I think some companies get it. I don't think all do. And I remember a story of Amazon, back in the 90s, I think, when Amazon was just kind of up and coming, and Jeff Bezos literally in an interview held up 7 floppy disks and said, I hold this much data on each of my customers. I know when they spend, what they spend, when their payday is. Yeah. I know who's in their family. And by using that data, he could retarget, drive traffic and so on. And that's, although I guess that's quite a top level of the data in the consulting you do, it's still a very good key to it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a starting point, 100%. You would think that some people don't think that they collect data, but then I would tell them, right, you have a newer car, let's say, for example, you open the doors. That's data. That's the data for the car. Let's go, I think I always like to say, when did the first data come? Cave drawings. They're data for historians, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, let's go even further back. The Big Bang, right? That's again data for historians, for people studying geography and so on. So all of that is recorded somewhere. So when people say, my business, my life, I don't produce data, I don't collect data, what do you do? Maybe you're just not looking hard enough. That's what I like to think of it like that.
Oh, that's a really great way to look. We could probably end the podcast there. That's like the key takeaway. But yeah, I'd never thought of it like that. But you are right. It's a great thing. So, but you've obviously the business has been going nearly 18 months, give or take, or just those things.
So we're growing quite rapidly. I started it 18 months ago. Got people now, which is beautiful. Running a team. We are expanding our client portfolio. We even had a kind of first international client in the US, then back home in Croatia we had a couple and so on. UK is still the main market, me being based here, and the majority of the team is here, so that kind of helps, the business development side of it. But yeah, 18 months, ups and downs like every single business, but when I zoom out of that curve, which maybe sometimes seems a little bit down, it is still on that upward trajectory, so that's always a positive.
I love that. And I think we can get really hyper-focused on the zoomed in look, and it's like looking at the I guess the best way to look at that is when you look at, if you trade stocks or even crypto, you can see the dips and dives.
Yeah.
If you're looking on a 24-hour chart or something smaller, but actually no, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see that upwards trajectory.
It's even worse with emotion, I think. Especially when you're running your own business, you're kind of attached to it. It's a relationship in a way. I always say I'm in a relationship with my business, and it is like that. When you have that emotion, then those down periods hit you harder maybe than the upward period, and then you always feel like, is it good, is it not? So you do have to look back. I would say you have to look back at data of your business also to take a look what's going on.
I love it. So obviously you haven't always done this then, and if memory serves, as you would have seen, I'm a massive sales nerd. I love sales, and I think your career started in sales. Is that right?
It did, absolutely. So back when I had an internship in Germany, in Frankfurt, working for a massive company, Dell, which was such an experience. I was there for, a short period, but still kind of, it started, it's a lot of things I soaked in those, couple of weeks that I was there, and it was just such a big machinery Dell is, So I went to Frankfurt, worked in their sales department. So basically it's a lot of IT people that don't like code. So what they do is they say, okay, let me then sell all of the products that Dell is having. And it's so much more than your standard computer. I mean, Dell produces amazing softwares, amazing service, and various different things that they were trying to sell. And selling is a little bit different than I think in any other industry, that what I noticed, in IT, how it goes. So it was an experience being in that big company, the culture around it, how they work differently than small businesses. They're not as reactive as small businesses, because you have to have a certain, hierarchy that has to approve a certain deal, a certain decision, and so on. While on the other hand, they knew exactly what they were doing to kind of get to the end goal. So it's very good to be part of that organization for a couple of weeks. I learned a lot, and some of the things I even apply today, even from that shorter period.
Amazing. So the bit of a question then, and so I've not prepared you for.
Yeah.
So you were born and raised in Croatia.
That's
Is
correct.
that right? So obviously you're then in Frankfurt, Germany.
Yeah.
And now you're in the UK. Have you noticed that people buy in different ways, by different countries, or how people sell? Is there a different way that people in Germany would sell in comparison to people in Croatia?
Yeah, I think the cross-cultural management is such a big thing, especially what I'm finding out right now in my business is when you talk to people from different areas of the world, you do have to adjust your sales pitch. You do have to adjust how you're communicating, especially if you want them to understand the message that is coming across. You have to understand their culture 100% kind of in that way, but also you can expect that they're going to understand you. So it's not that everything has to be completely perfect. You sometimes have to say, sorry, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that you do business in that way, and so on. So, everybody thinks of Germans as very punctual, very accurate. I found completely different story.
Really?
Believe it or not. I think that was maybe what Germans was 50, 60 years ago. That I can't claim anything. This is only, I'm much younger than that. But this is what I kind of heard from it. But, we came at work 9 in the morning, 11 to 11:30 was a coffee. Everybody from the company, gathered around from the sales team and had a coffee. One then came back to work, 1 to 1:30 lunch. Everybody again together, it's like a table of 25 people from now, literally sitting together, eating lunch and just talking about life overall. Then again, work, then again coffee, then again work. But the thing is, what was very interesting for me, they're not 9 to 5.
Right.
So they're very motivated in a way until the work gets done. They're not, even if they have to be there until 11, they're going to have 5 coffees during the day if they want, but they're going to be there until the work is done. So that's a little bit different. They're very direct when you compare to the British people. British people are not very direct, while Germans are crazy, to the point, straight away, which I found extremely funny. Then coming to the UK, a completely different system. But I think personally that I'm a mixture of it. I'm more British in how I like to talk to people, so on, because I think it's just better. In my opinion, it's one of the greatest skills I think British people do have. But then Germans, being direct, when I want to get the message out fast, then I do it the German way and be very direct to who I need to be with.
I like that. So a good learning curve back in the early days. And I think it shares that experience that I think salespeople are better when they mirror the intentions of their buyer.
Correct.
I think many salespeople can go in and want to sell for the way that they sell, because that's the way they want to. They've been taught, their sales director saying you must sell this way, but actually sales becomes easier if we interact with the buyer the way they want to be.
Read the person, read the room. That's always a thing. Even us sitting here, for example, I was reading about this, mimicking in a way, saying if I was to put my hand here now, after a while you would do it also, wouldn't you? The things like that. So you also have to behave like that in a business. I think that's a big lesson that I think majority of people do unconsciously, but when you start doing it consciously for a certain intention, it's not manipulation. It is just a better way, another way of doing it, kind of on the sales side.
Absolutely. So you've had the internship at Dell, I think it was. So tell me about your career then. So what going to happen midway?
So everything started, I said the best decision in my life was moving to the UK. Came here to study from Croatia, straight away here into university, completed my undergraduate in financial mathematics. Then I went to King's College in London. Then I did my financial maths also there. So that was, you know, student life, but it's so much different. You would think, you smiled over here, but you would think, you know, that this is kind of, you know, classic British type of student. You go out to do all of these things. For me, it was a completely different story. I come from this, you know, 4 million people country, a small country, and this was my shot. This was coming to the UK, had this opportunity. I said to myself, right, you're not going to go and party. You're going to properly work hard to kind of get yourself to a certain level, get all the opportunities, stay in the UK and have a great life here, which I'm, you know, building every single day. So I was studying, I was in the library where everybody else was partying.
Nice.
Actually, in the end, resulted in a positive way when I look back at it right now. But that's where all of it started. So that was my opportunity that I wanted to seize, kind of from that side. After that, after my university, I was straight away recruited while I was at my master's. So basically my master stopped like 1st of September, 2nd of September, I was already working. So I worked as a finance and business development manager for a Portuguese company that had an office in the UK in Nottingham. It was around 75, 80 people employed, I think, altogether in the whole groupation. So I was the finance manager of it. And then, you know, how they say every entrepreneur has to hit it slow to reach for the high. Made redundant overnight because of Brexit and everything happening. The Portuguese company decided to close the UK office, and I was made redundant. Such a big shock, you know. Still, I was here for 5 years, but it's still a shock. You're in a foreign country in a way. You don't know a lot of people, like what now, what to do, and so on. So then 2-3 days after, my ex-director posted a picture of myself and my skills on LinkedIn. And all of a sudden, like in 24 hours, I have 4 job inquiries.
Wow.
And I was just like, whoa, this is so good. Like, I'm going to get a job in no time. No time to panic. I don't have to be, I can, you know, normal summer. It was like happened in June or something.
Yeah.
And then an idea came to me that you don't need to work for one. You can work with all of them. And that's kind of how the business is like, okay, let's make a business. So I was kind of naturally led into, everybody says, I think the majority of people who create their own business said, I just found myself making and creating my own business. And in that way, you don't really plan for it. You just go there if you're of that entrepreneurial kind of spirit and you're going to take that opportunity. So, and then everything started from there, from building my own company.
Wow, fantastic. So if you don't mind asking, obviously being made redundant, it must have hit quite hard. You know, like say scary, worrying. You know, how did you handle those early emotions?
Difficult. The first phone call after I've heard was my mom, of course. And what to do now was the plan. Because the worst thing, you know, it sounds, everybody when they hear that I'm from Croatia, it's just like, wow, why are you here? Yeah, that's the first reaction. But I do really like it here. Like UK is my home. It really is. You know, 7.5 years already here, so a long time. Have friends, businesses here, opportunities, everything is here kind of from that side. It was tough. I didn't know what to do. It was, you know, I never written a CV before that in my life because I was straight away recruited for my master's, so I didn't need to. And what to do then, it was, you know, that what's the next step? That always worried me. I like to have things planned out in advance, and this was such a big shock. So, but thankfully, you know, I was lucky, and there was always a segment of luck in I think creating your own business or starting it and so on. So this was definitely my lucky period that I was made redundant, which at the time in that couple of days it just looked so bad. But then when I zoomed out, you know, three months after, it was maybe the best thing that happened to me.
Fantastic. And I think it's very rare that I meet a business owner, an entrepreneur that and I think you've mentioned it yourself, hasn't been through like a low point, that hasn't been through a down point, but hasn't also taken an opportunity when they've seen it.
Yeah.
Imagine now, how different would your life be if you'd have taken one of those jobs?
Don't want to go down there. Don't even want to think about it. I'm enjoying it too much. I love what I do. So I really, you know, you need to look back, I think, and look at your decision, reconsider them, see what's kind of, what is good, what is bad. But in the end, I'd rather regret things that I've done than the ones that I didn't, and that's it. And that's the motto that I'm going to go forward with.
And now, 18 months later, from everything you've told me, you've got the team members now, you've got your colleagues, and it sounds like there's no stopping you.
Yeah, well, hopefully, and that's it. The only person I would say, going to sound like an athlete now, but the only person who can stop me is me. That's it, the one in the mirror. So, yeah, growing a business is quite fun, to be honest.
Yeah?
It is a little fun, scary, exciting, everything in one mix of emotions.
I'm glad you said fun and exciting first, because I think a lot of people, and potentially people watching this who are looking to start their business, it is a scary, daunting time. I think we're both under no illusion. But do you know what? If you have the right positive mindset, it can be damn fun as well, I think. And exciting. You're in charge of your own destiny.
I think how people say nobody made their business out of something that they don't like. I think it's always that passion element in it. And when you're passionate about something and just continue building up from your passion into a business, into a team and so on, it's much easier. That fun and excitement comes from that passion and true love. Everybody has difficult days, right? But that passion, that motivation and ambition is going to take you in a easier kind of way out of those depressing, hard, low points.
I think so. So in terms of obviously what you do for business and for your clients, I know that it's driven a lot by data and CRM. So for anyone watching this that maybe is contemplating starting a business, or perhaps they've got a business and they don't know their numbers, they don't know their data, to you, how important is data for a business?
Yeah. So I think I always like to say, you never know that you have a data problem until you know that you have a data problem. It's very, it's a confusing sentence maybe, but I'll try to explain very simply. Data problem doesn't manifest as a data problem. It manifests as a production problem, as a quality problem, as your sales process problem and various other things. While sometimes it's just so easy that you need to clean up what is there, standardize, categorize, and go forward. So people always, focus on, let's say there's a quality problem with this glass and something is not right. They're so focused on the material, the people putting it together, the machinery and so on. While sometimes in the background, it could really be a data problem that is so easy to fix and everything just continued and running as normal from that side. So, I think I said to you just before is that on your year-end accounts, you don't have the element of data, because it's that intangible value. Like, what is my data really value to my business and so on? Doesn't show in your year-end account. So people sometimes neglect it, don't maintain it, don't have the appreciation for it. But I think that in today's data-driven economy, which in reality we really are, that data is a massive asset in the business. So everybody who's out there to start their own business, have their own career business and so on, my advice would be, think about it. Just think about it. I'm not telling you to take the first action. I'm telling you to tell the first step. Just think about what's data for you and what does it mean. How are you using the reports every single morning to see what's going on in your business? How are you evaluating your team? What is your projection for the sales in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, and so on? Where does all that come from? I'm going to leave people for to think where does it all come from. But
no, absolutely. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think where businesses sort of sometimes panic, I think they can get overwhelmed and they think that they've got to go gung-ho, they've got to go this bespoke software system from day one, they've got to know every single KPI, every single little digit and number. But sometimes, and you may, if you disagree by all means, but don't hurt me, is even just having a spreadsheet that is manually written. If you don't feel that you need really in-depth processes because you're managing 5 or 10 customers or whatever, I think it's very important that you understand, even if we look at it from a sales and marketing point of view, if you look at inbound leads, are you tracking, when that lead came in, what their contact details are, how they found the business, what was the outcome of that lead, even on a base level. I think as a KPI, very important to have.
That's a start. I'd definitely say so. I think Excel, Google Sheets, both of them, the best tools. Not the best systems, not the best, databases, if we can call them that, but amazing tools. We use it every day. Why do we use it with our clients, especially? Because the clients that we work with might not understand data, but they like those, gray grid lines kind of in Excel, and they're used to it. So how we output our reports in majority of the cases is Excel, is Google Sheets, because it's the best tool. for people starting out, definitely first year start using that. But also, there's so many free CRM systems, e-commerce systems, ERP systems that you can get for your business. It might not have all the functionality that you will need down the line, 100%, but that free will have you, you know, record data, get used to it, get used to the process. Because well, the thing is, even setting up that system on your own, what is it going to make you? It's just going to make you think about it. And how can I improve this? You know, why am I copy and pasting this line of text so many times when maybe the system can do it? The data can help me kind of, you know, get it all together and send it out to our clients. So I think people should think about it, but at the beginning, when you're starting out, focus on your product, focus on your service, focus on the quality, focus on finding the clients, focus on marketing and so on. But always have data and systems in mind, because the worst thing that can happen is you're focusing all of these other things and your business is growing. You get to a certain stage and you don't have the infrastructure. And then if you don't have the foundations, well, everything knows what happens with the house when that happens. So that would be definitely my advice to everybody starting out, to have a place to record it. And
just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Nike way.
Absolutely. So obviously you've grown the business that you said, and I know that you're an avid networker. You of course came to our networking event that's just happened Monday night, Leicestershire Business Network Group, if you want to find out some more.
Good place to be. Come and join us. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you very much. Good plug. But you know, you then travelled down to London the next day, so you had a late night with us and then an early start Tuesday, I think. So what's networking done for your business?
Well, first of all, how I started the business was, you know, everybody spent so much time and money on developing their service and the product to be that perfect thing. And then when it's perfect, then you go out there and sell it. I've done it a little bit differently. I've developed the services. You know, we had our core services. We still have them. Kind of, this is what we do. I knew straight away from the beginning what I want to do: data analytics, digitalization, CRM systems, e-commerce, ERPs. That's what I do. But how I developed it, how I delivered it, I kind of went around the clients and saw what the needs of the industries are. And the big part of seeing what is really needed and what's, you know, because data is everywhere. That's how I like to imagine it. And you can analyze any data, but which sectors do I really want? At the beginning, I had no idea. I just went out there and said, like, okay, so I like data, I like CRM systems, I like technology. Perfect. Okay, so which sectors do I need to attack to build my business? You need clients, of course. That's how you build your business. You need that, you know, delivery of the service. So I said to myself, go out there and listen. And networking was a big part of it. So I had networking at the beginning, and even right now, first of all, that education element, and then element of the business development. So the business development, very clear. I'm always trying to find new clients, be in front of decision makers who need data support, who need CRM development, and so on. But on the other hand, I'm just listening. I'm just out there and listening what people are saying. What are the difficulties, and how can maybe our development, our data can maybe solve those things and make him better or improve some of the weaknesses and so on, and various other things. So networking is a big part. I do quite a lot all over the UK. I even do online, which is good in one way, bad on the other. You know, people have mixed opinions. I think if you know how to use it, it can do good. If you don't know, of course, it's going to go bad. Traveled all over the UK for networking events. It did networking back home in Croatia. That's also, you know, big. So it's just such a, you know, the best way that I can see to develop myself, my team, educate myself, but also to develop the business. I really do enjoy networking. Good.
I like that. It's a nice way to... You've kind of used it to kind of reverse engineer your products and your services a little bit. And you've kind of, I don't know about you, but there's nothing I hate more at networking events when you are force-fed someone else's pitch.
Yeah, don't pitch at networking events. I'll tell you that. I mean, it happens a lot, and you can definitely see that somebody's then new or not very experienced in that. You're not selling at a networking event. I think the most important thing about the networking event is afterwards, happening after the networking event. At networking, you just try to get as many business cards. You try to speak to as much as people possible, have a little bit of fun, have a great food, a couple of, you know, glasses of wine if you're into that, or water, juice, whatever from that side. But the important thing is after. Reach out on LinkedIn, follow up, book that call, and so on. Do you know how many pointless 1 hour conversations after networking I had. Countless, literally countless. But there's always going to come that one that is going to make you worth your while from it. So networking, business development from networking doesn't happen in a networking event. It happens after.
You've raised some great points there. You know, obviously we run and operate the Leicester Business Network Group. And, you know, the kind of objection I normally hear a lot from people when maybe they've come to like one event, or they, oh, I came to an event, it might not even be one of ours, but we didn't make any money from it. We didn't make any sales from it. I think you're not there to walk around like with your order book and go, do you want to buy from me? I'm a big believer you build those relationships, and my intention on the back end of any networking event we go to, whether it's one of ours or one we've been invited to, I just want to book in some calls with people. I want to meet people like this. You know, I want to sit down and learn more about them so that we can find things. And just the other day, we had an inquiry come through to us. A gentleman messaged me on LinkedIn. I'd met him at a networking event in 2019. So at the time of recording this, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Can't remember who he was, but he clearly remembered me. And he just said, I remember we were talking about what you offer. At the time, it wasn't right for us, but now we're going through this growth and we're doing this. Now I'd like to talk and see what you can do. So he remembered me from 2019. And I think if you network right and you network in the right ways and follow up, so like say, connect on LinkedIn, send follow-up emails, try and book some meetings and nurture that relationship, networking works, in my opinion.
What's the furthest you've ever... Now I have to question you a little bit. What is the furthest you ever traveled for a meeting after a networking session?
That is a good question. For a meeting, I've, just because of how it's fallen, probably about an hour across in Birmingham. So not too far.
120 miles for me.
Really?
Yeah. So I met the person at a networking event. I think there was someone like a little bit northern from Manchester or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they said that they really want to meet me because they found themselves in Nottingham just on a networking event. That they were like, yeah, definitely need to have a chat and so on. So I like to work with good kind of referral partners, if we can call them like that. Yeah. It's web developers for me because we work with e-commerce businesses and so on. So he had like, look, I think that what you guys are doing is quite interesting. Can potentially package the services together, anything like that. Of that sort. So 120 miles for me.
Wow,
yeah, crazy.
But if you don't mind me asking, because I love that approach. Yeah. I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and there seems to be a current trend with business owners and salespeople, business development managers. They won't chase a sale or build a relationship unless that order is basically in their hands. But you could have easily gone, oh, I'm not traveling 120 miles, it's not worth my time. But you've done that. Yeah. Why have you done that?
Something told me this is worth your while, kind of from that side. So I am following my gut feeling on some of these meetings and so on. I think COVID did us good. People just like change the culture and going everything online.
Yeah.
But when somebody writes you an email, I would really appreciate meeting in person. I like to build a relationship. Then you have to sit in your car and go and drive, kind of from that side. So it's always about that because you never know. To date, I didn't get anything from that person. So you do sometimes question that decision. Like, don't get me wrong, like, why did you travel? Why did you spend that fuel money? Yeah. And so on. And it was the worst time was when I think like liter of diesel was like £1.96 or something like crazy. Like, why did you do that? But I'm also in my mindset, everything is an opportunity. Okay, I know which people I can't work with, what do I want to do, how to get into that, and so on. Of course, I know my business quite well. But what if in 5 years he comes in and says, I have a client that has 1,000 employees and needs a whole new CRM system, kind of from that side. So you always have to give it a shot, I think.
I think that dedication proves that you want the business.
Yeah.
You could have easily gone, oh no, let's just jump on a Zoom, let's just jump on a phone call first. There's nothing wrong with that to a degree, but if you're then competing with 3 other providers, one of them's made the decision to drive up, with a box of chocolates or whatever, like as a night, a bottle of wine, as I sometimes do, or those that just jumped on a Zoom call, you're going to be more remembered if you've kind of traveled up, kind of thing. So I'm a big believer in that, and it's something that I always think back and try and reverse engineer when people are trying to sell to me and want to kind of do business with me. I want the people that come out and see me.
Yeah.
I want the people that want to develop a relationship.
Yeah.
Just the other day, we had a supplier, we inquired for something with the business. Within 3 hours, their salesperson showed up at the door downstairs. Like, all we did was inquire.
Customer service, yeah.
Exactly. We've now signed business with him. He could have easily sent us an email, gave us a phone call. And I'll be honest, the contract, right, was worth for a year of what we had to buy, £120. So we're not talking, you know, he's come out and see us for like a £5,000 contract. £120 on that same day. He came out to see us and his follow-up was so strong. And I think, you know, it goes back to you traveling that 120 miles. If you show that you're willing to and you want to work with someone, you're more inclined to get the business, I think.
Yeah.
So, final question.
Okay.
Final question. I did prepare you for this, as I like to prepare a lot of people. If you could go back to day one of business, to that day, you know, that day one, so you've been made redundant, you've had all these job offers, and you shoved your middle finger up at them and gone, no, I'm starting my own business. What would you say to your younger self? What advice would you give to yourself?
Patience. Just patience. And I think that currently all of us are Amazon generation. Why I like to call it that, I don't have nothing against Amazon. Just saying that we want everything here on our doorstep right now. And that's the biggest problem that I did, and mistakes came from that at the beginning of business, and still maybe are happening right now subconsciously, kind of from that side. Business is not built overnight. You don't get clients overnight. I was very lucky that when I started the business, I started with clients rather than without, and then trying to chase, because I understand people in that scenario might be a little bit more desperate. They really want to make it work and so on. I was quite comfortable from day one, which allowed me to grow the business quite quick, to develop these amazing, you know, portfolio of services, clients, products and so on that we go out there and deliver. But patience is very difficult, especially, you know, all of us think that we have the best, the most unique product and so on and things like that. So I also think like that for my business, and I have to be open about it. I know how much of thank you, how much of value we bring into our clients, and I want to bring it out to other people. And sometimes, you know, deal doesn't happen overnight, as we were just discussing in some of the stories before. It happens with time, and that's difficult to be patient. It is very difficult to be patient, I think, especially in today's age with, you know, information is so widely available, you can get everything so quickly. So to Stefan 18 months ago, I would say be patient and less mistakes, less hurdles, I think, along the way will happen. I still remember my networking event, me being so, you know, inexperienced. I thought that I'm going to get some business out of my first networking event, right? That didn't happen. But, you know, patience. Just people need to be a little bit patient, trust the process, kind of in that way, and keep on building it. You're gonna have tough moments. You're gonna probably think about, you know, closing the business. Some people do kind of in that way. But if you really believe it, if you're passionate about it, and if financially it is feasible, then patience, and you're gonna go through the difficult times, and you're gonna build something great, I think
that's a very key point, and I agree with you. We're becoming a very impatient generation. We want everything yesterday. We live in that TikTok attention span world, and I think we also live in a scary world where we see entrepreneurs, business people, successful people doing really well, and weirdly in our minds we see it as an overnight success, and we go, well, why is their business so good? But what you don't see is the failures. You don't see the sleepless nights. You don't see the failed businesses. You don't see the time they've put into it. You only see the success on the end of it all, kind of thing. So I do agree. Patience, you know, it's like we said earlier, taking that zoomed out approach. If you look at anyone, there's always the ups, there's always the downs, but that time, that patience is crucial.
Key.
Exactly. Well, look, really appreciate your time today. It's turned into a great chat, and I feel like we could end up chatting for a while. But it is Friday. Traffic's going to get mental. You know, I don't want to keep it too long, but we'll obviously drop Stefan's website link somewhere around the video, more than likely below, but it could be above, depending on where you're watching it. Stefan, do you want to give yourself a bit of a plug? Do you want to sort of share your website? Whereabouts should people find you?
Yeah, basically loncomconsulting.com. In LinkedIn is the social media that I'm the most present on. So yeah, reach out to that. I'm always more than happy to talk about people, about data, Longest I've ever spoken about data, 6.5 hours. 2 bottles of wine, but yeah, okay, yeah, that's all part of it. So yeah, definitely for anybody that just doesn't know, I don't charge for advice. I just love, you know, people helping out as much as possible, especially people starting their own businesses. So anybody needs any advice, shout out on LinkedIn, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Perfect. Well, we'll make sure we share Stefan's LinkedIn somewhere around the screen. Maybe a little tip: if you do want some advice, send some wine.
Yeah.
Stefan's way. Are we red or white? What are we on?
White, always white.
On the
I'm
what?
Croatian. White has to be white.
Of course. As long as you didn't say rosé. That's some Blossom Hill. Will be lovely. But look, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to you, the viewer, for joining us on today's vlog. It is truly appreciated. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be interviewing some more great entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople and marketers over the coming weeks and months. We cannot promise they'll be as sort of wonderfully looking and dressed as Stefan here, but we'll do our absolute best. Until next time, all the best.